key words, and I thought I might take the opportunity to rename this session, Delivering Smaller, Better and Quality Communities. So we'll see how we go on the fly with a change of topic with our presenters, but Delivering Smaller, Better and Quality Communities is the new title rather than Delivering Big. Spoiler alert, good architecture must be part of that responsibility. So on stage I'm joined by two gentlemen who have an opportunity to influence and change the way we deliver better quality housing. And I would like to invite Roger, I think is the first speaker, to share his thoughts on that.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you to the Green Building Council for this opportunity to discuss with you this afternoon some thoughts around where we are. At Panuku, we're mindful of the challenges facing the housing crisis. And as part of the supply and the affordability issues, it's critical that we don't simply get roofs built. We have to engage with the whole sustainability agenda. We have to make sure that we build against quality, and we have to make sure that we build against sustainability so that we build good, dry, warm homes for the future. We need to elevate the position upon simply looking at cost. And the debate moving forward is about the whole life cost. How do we deliver homes for the long term, for people to live in, to work, rest and play? Our future neighbourhoods need to be resilient and adaptable to the impacts of climate change. As we progressively become better informed about climate impacts in Auckland, it gives us the lens opportunity to focus on planning and design. I'd like to acknowledge the work of the Chief Sustainability Office in doing consultancy on the updated Auckland Climate Action Plan. This will be a vital document to guide the direction for Auckland as we move forward. Panuku is looking at how we can weave the climate response into our work moving forward. We are the regeneration agency of council. We anticipate over the next 10 years through our transform and unlock locations that we'll be delivering in excess of 10,000 homes. We work in partnership with iwi, with Mana Whenua, with the CHPs, and particularly with the private sector. One thing to stress is that we're not a developer. We are a facilitator working in partnership to deliver success. Partnering with the Crown is also a critical and vital part of how we work forward. And we're engaging extensively over the new Kiwi Build programme. We've heard a lot about the complexities today of some of the issues we face. If we're going to solve these problems, we need to engage in innovation. As a public sector organisation like Panuku, it is my privileged position to confirm that we need to lead this from the front and help de-risk innovative solutions for the industry moving forward. Indeed, it is our mandate. We work in 19 locations across Auckland. We have a diverse range of demographic and social economic groups to address. Areas of diversity calls for different solutions. There is no one size fits all to how we address this problem. If you think about some of our locations around Wynyard Quarter, Manukau, Henderson, Papatoetoe and Takapuna, they all require different solutions to succeed. An example last year of how we made a commitment to building homes in our priority locations, that is our transform and our unlock locations, is we went to the board to get an approval for Homestair 6. It was approved by the board, and it's in our documentation in terms of our development agreements as we move forward with our partnerships. This is an important quality assurance message sending out to the market around sustainability. We acknowledge the intensive work that has been undertaken by the Green Building Council in New Zealand under the leadership of Andrew Eagles, to re-engineer the Homestar version 4 and make it a flexible, fit-for-purpose solution moving forward. We took the Homestar 6 checklist as a starting point, and we worked with the council and the wider family and with industry and to others to customise it, to make it a suitable and useful product fit for purpose for today's market. We've secured pre-awarded points. For example, brownfield development and the priorities to amenities. We've secured the reduced amount of mandatory credits whilst being careful to maintain the integrity of energy and health aspects. We've increased the optional credits, and we're actively working with developers to promote innovation which will push sustainable building practices even further and gain Homestar points towards their accreditation. This makes it highly flexible, and it's an innovative tool. We continue to evolve in partnership with industry, and we're very welcome and opening to share our input. Just this month, we hit a critical milestone with our development out in Hobsonville. Evander have achieved Homestar 6 in their design rating at the airfield program. This was the first program that has actually used this customized checklist approach. The development is around 40 homes in phase 1, and construction will be commencing later on this year. Over the airfield block, Evander will be delivering over 500 units. So it's a significant step change for us as an organisation to engage in this process. We're also applying Homestar 6 in our own developments. The Homura development in Henderson will create 40 one-bedroom units for older people, managed through Homura on our joint venture with the Selwyn Foundation to provide safe, quality homes for older Aucklanders. We're delighted this scheme has actually attained Homestar 7. And that's critical for us as we move forward because we're changing the level of scale and pace in the marketplace. I'm particularly proud of the rating we've achieved, which included 3 innovation points that were targeted for the first time. We achieved innovation for social housing. We achieved innovation for the cultural aspects through embedding Tauranga design principles and for using our total value analysis tool to support a value case for social housing projects. For those of you who may not be aware, this is part of an enormous program which includes 42 villages. So it's a great starting point to progress with. Many of you will have probably read in the papers about the Barracliff development and the starting on site of the new scheme for 300 homes. This is the largest program that we've been involved in our transform location. Manukau is a challenging area. We have the largest Pacifica population in the world, and with that comes some challenges around how we address affordable homes. How do we get properties built in that environment that is fit for purpose, fit for the very residents that we're trying to address? And what is critical in terms of that regeneration is that we don't regentrify that area, we regenerate it and we make it appropriate for the very people that want to live and work there. We're thrilled last month to sign an agreement with both Te Akatai and Housing Foundation, and this will deliver a mix of range of products from 1-bedroom through to 4-bedroom products. At least half of these will be affordable or assisted affordable homes. So picking up on the question that was raised earlier about how can a local family afford to pay $650,000 for a property, the shared ownership scheme will help to address that. And if you can buy 50% of a home, that's 50% more than you could have bought before. It creates opportunities for people to rent and to buy, including the first-time owners. And I'm delighted to report that the programme has committed to a minimum of Homestar 6. No presentation on housing sustainability in Auckland would be complete without giving a nod to our flagship area, the Wynyard Quarter. There are now 150 new homes built through our development partner, Willis Bond, and this is in line with the Homestar 7 rating. We continue to develop opportunities in Wynyard, and we continue to increase the baseline so that we can get really high quality proposals moving forward. In the light of the flexibility model within version 4, we'll look how we can introduce some more flexibility and innovation. For example, we'd love to see Homestar credit that rewarded social procurement. In Henderson, we're engaged with the C40 program. This is developing low carbon energy neighbourhood cities, and it's vital we look to our overseas partners for inspiration in that space. We're actively a member of the C40 Low Carbon District Network, and in keeping with the Henderson Eco-Century vision, we nominated 2 sites, the Falls and Alderman Car Park in Edmonton Road, as opportunities to evaluate how we can engage in the C40 initiative. We've recently received a number of bids from New Zealand and globally, and we'll evaluate them in the course of the next few months. The RFP stage for this will continue through the month of September. Sustainability is, of course, deep and wider than just houses built. At Panuku, we are acutely aware that it is about the whole life cost. It is about the social, and it is about the environmental impact and how we're planning, designing, and developing. To that end, we've been working closely not only with New Zealand Building Council, but also with the Green Building Council of Australia to apply their communities framework. Green Star Communities is a useful tool that examines best practice across governance, incorporating livability, economic prosperity, environmental performance at the master planning stage. We were thrilled to get 24 credits pre-awarded on this volume basis. This doesn't mean we have a Green Star rating, but it's our standard policy and practice as an agency that we're working towards a Green Star criteria. Essentially, it gives us a head start to pursue a communities rating plan. We're not only the first agency in New Zealand to get any formal recognition under Green Star communities, we're also the first in the world to use it under a volume approach. It makes a strong statement about the commitment to sustainable neighbourhoods, and we intend that Auckland will be the first to get a Green Star rated community within the next few years. So watch this space. Thank you.
Now can I invite Patrick Doherty from Housing New Zealand to share his thoughts on this topic with us.
Thanks, Tina, and thank you, Andrew, and the Green Building Council for the opportunity to participate in this the summit today. My presentation, I'll just rip through it quite quickly, actually, so we've got a chance to have a bit of a panel discussion, because I know you're a bit short on time, so you might see me flick through a few slides quite quickly. But if you look at our front page, you don't want to look at a photo of me, I'm already here, so maybe go to the presentation, that'd be good. How are we going with that, guys? All right, so our byline, the way we describe ourselves and why we exist, is we're here to build lives and communities by housing New Zealanders. You can see it up there, fantastic, so I don't need to read it out for you. So the next slide pretty much says, and everyone says they're the biggest and the best, we're describing ourselves as the biggest residential builder in New Zealand. The reality is we don't actually build anything, but we are responsible for the largest building program that's currently in play in the country. We partner with a significant number of construction firms to build for us, but you can see some big numbers up there. Over 5,000 new homes in the next 3 years, 2,115 houses to be delivered in the next financial year. There's numbers bandied around all over the place. I'll go through some of those a little bit later as to what they really mean. But if we go to the next slide, This, to me, is the most important slide from a Housing New Zealand perspective, because this talks about the people. The top right-hand number, 180,000 people, those are the people that we serve to look after. These are the social housing tenants, the occupants of the houses that we, as the government state housing provider, look after. Tarangi was an excellent example of someone who is one of the people that we serve. So there's a number of 180,000 people like that live in our houses. That's 63,000 properties across the country, and it's pretty much growing monthly. The values are $25 billion. That changes every year. It's all based on valuation. The real important numbers to us is how much are we spending to keep this going. You can see we're just under $500 million a year on maintenance. For us, if you go to the next slide, the long-term objective for us, as articulated in our strategic plan, is healthier and more stable families and communities. And Tarangi's short story today just shows you the change that comes from us actually initiating the things that we have to do in building new homes. The objective for our new builds is warm, dry, and safe homes. There's 4 critical components in that. Obviously, the building envelope for dry, weather-tight, durable, protection from internal moisture and mould. This is what you're all here to talk about. Warm, the thermal envelope, the performance and effective heating. These are all generalised statements, but we actually have specific answers to each one of these in the way we design our houses. Safe, we talk about security, driveway safety, early fire warning systems, protection from accidental injury, and driveway safety is really important to us, using the SIPDED principles as well, crime prevention through environmental design, making sure that the houses that we build are actually homes for people to live in, rather than just another bunch of houses with roofs on. The essential amenity, energy efficient, healthy, sustainable and adaptable for a range of user needs. In the recent budget, the government announced 6,400 new homes in the next 4 years. Just to clarify, that's not how many we're building, that's the net growth. The houses that we're building are larger than that in number because we have to demolish a few. We trade it out of the market a few, we sell a few down, and we end up with a few fires and a few other reasons why we have to remove houses. But the reality is, there's a lot to build. We're not responsible for the whole 6,400 over the next 4 years, but we're going to take about 70% of the responsibility of that, and the rest is going to be provided by people in the community housing providers. Scott represents a number of those. So that net growth of 6,400, about 3,500 of those will be in Auckland, and most of those are opportunities already identified in terms of sites, and the balance will be around the country where the need is basically growing in the regions, growing faster than we had anticipated in recent times. Locations will be worked with in detail with MSD as we go through the program, to be clear. So the waiting list is administered by MSD, Ministry of Social Development, and we're here as the owner and developer of the state housing. The sort of regions that we're going to be building these houses in is places like Napier, Hamilton and Whangarei. And an interesting fact in this is we're actually borrowing out of the market $2.9 billion and investing another $900 million in that particular part of the program. And that gives us the ability to use our balance sheet in a very effective way and not be reliant on Crown debt to get this job done. So we are doing what is necessary for us to get the job done within the improving the churn and the quality of our stock, as well as to work on growth. In Auckland, it's a large program that we have, the Auckland Housing Program. It's about renewing and growing our portfolio, working with the private sector to build generally affordable houses for the wider market. We've got whole suburbs being renewed and investigating more and more as we go through our portfolio. And basically it's about increasing the number of social housing on our properties. Over the next 10 years, it'll deliver about 24,000 houses. Not all state houses, but that's what we expect to extract through the program. It's a 10-year focus, but our pipeline extends even beyond that, probably about 20 years. HLC is one of our key subsidiaries. It's not a widely known fact that it is actually a subsidiary of Housing New Zealand, but it's done a phenomenal job at Hobsonville Point, and we're working very closely with HLC to undertake large-scale regeneration across a lot of the areas where we have a large concentration of social housing. That's where we're master planning entire neighbourhoods, liaising with infrastructure providers, securing public amenities such as parks, walkways and community centres. People like Panuka are very much a key part of those discussions. Land's then developed for state housing, which is what we're delivering through our development program. Then parts are sold to the private sector for development of market and affordable and Kiwi-built housing. Large-scale regeneration is already underway in Northcote, which is the image that you see on your screen, Roskill South, Onehunga and Mangere. Each of these neighbourhoods have dedicated websites that you can check out if you want to know more. Just to be clear, Housing New Zealand is not the lead agency for Kiwi Build. However, there will be occasions where Kiwi Build development will occur on our land for sale to third parties, and that's one of the roles that HLC is facilitating with us. So I've got big targets. How are we going to deliver that? Well, this image is pretty much an example of what most people think of when they see a state house. It's a property that was on Ryburn Road and Mount Wellington Highway in Mount Wellington. There were 3 houses, just under 2,500 square metres of site. Now, you can see there's 13 houses that are 2, 3 and 4 bedroom in size. Quite a difference. And so when you talk about doing it big or doing it small, what we're doing is doing it big with lots of the small. Those sorts of sites are very typical of how we're intensifying, particularly in Auckland, our land to be much more effective and efficient in use and convert some of those tired old assets, the sort of house that Taorangi was talking about, as being cold and damp and not that great for today's housing, into the sort of house that she now lives in. That property where she lives is one that had 3 buildings with 6 houses on it, and it now has 17. Another good example. Our intense focus on building new homes, that we're deploying a variety of home types and sizes to make the best use of our land holdings while responding to the changing demographic need. The state home of the future could be a duplex, a 2 or 3 level walk-up, terrace house, 3-bedroom house on a lodge, rather than a 3-bedroom house that we all remember on a large site. With greater intensification now possible in Auckland, through the unitary plan, we're breaking new ground by planning and constructing more apartment buildings. They are a departure from what we've built in recent years, but are a typology that we're increasingly adopting. We're increasingly going up in established neighbourhoods, getting a bit of press about that at the moment. But it does allow for better land utilisation. We're building more and more multi-level, and our challenge, in fact, is just be able to find the people that can build them for us. 3-level walk-ups are an example of that, where we'll be using that as a typology more and more through the city, where the zoning allows for us to be able to use the land and put the sort of housing in that responds to the changing demographic. We're also increasingly utilising more modern methods of construction. So we're using innovation to build smarter. Here's an example of some product that we're getting out of the Xlam factory out of Nelson. And it's one of about 7 projects where we're testing some new technologies, new to us. They're not actually that new, but for us, at the scale that we're operating, we've now got the ability to test that and others as we go through it. And I'm going to zip through the slides because I'm getting a screaming times up on the slides. One of the solutions that helps us get to the point of being able to build at scale is to use standardised designs. That helps us to consider the most effective way to optimise the design to get the best out of what we spend. It helps us to get consistent design elements that incorporate what is important, such as that warm, dry, healthy and safe. We've got even large-scale developments such as the one on the screen next, in fact was before that one, in Grays Avenue, converting 80 odd apartments into 280. This is a project that will be a big profile in the city to come, and many of the things that are dear to the hearts of the people in this room are being applied in the design of that building. The way we're going to be able to make this happen is to work more efficiently using that scale that I've just been talking about and the longevity of our build program to be able to harness the collective power of the domestic supply and the construction sectors. So we're going to move to longer term partnerships and contracts with suppliers who are willing and able to ramp up to match the scale of the opportunity. So we're going to have a large-scale supplier strategy that focuses on 5 areas: materials, labour, regulatory approvals, regulatory inspections and internal processes. All things that we all think about when we're building in some way. We're going to share our 10-year build program as a pipeline with the industry, identify those key components and volumes to procure materials in bulk, and develop a different relationship with our building partners so that there's something that works for them to be more efficient in the way they work with us. So while we plan to drive greater efficiencies in our build program and find a way to build more with less, we do remain focused on the quality, which is a big topic of today, I know, at the summit, and the health and safety of all those who work on our sites and live in them. We are long-term holders of our assets, and we maintain these houses for 60 or 70 years. No one is more interested in the quality of those houses that we're building than we are. And when we get it wrong, we're the ones who pay the price. The image on the screen now is an example of a development that we've recently completed, and it's just won an award in the NZIA Auckland Awards recently, and on Friday night at the Property Council. We actually don't build these things to win awards, but we like to get the recognition because the people who are involved in what we do, all the consultants and the building partners, actually deserve the recognition because they're not building the $5 million batch on Waiheke Beach, and as I say, trying to do more with less. I'll stop there and just give you the opportunity to have some panel discussions. Tina, if that's what you want to do, yep.
I'm pretty confident that thing is going to explode if it keeps like. But I'm hopeful that we might be able to share some of the answers of the questions up there post the event, so some of these good questions don't go missing. But there was one up there that I thought might be relevant to you both around, has Panuku or Housing New Zealand done any analysis on the cost differential between the building code and Homestar 6 or any other standard of design that you're building to?
Yeah. Just to respond to that, if you take the basic building codes, we don't believe that developers and contractors today are actually building to those codes. We believe they're building above those codes. So the baseline data we're using is what is the standard base cost plus the additional cost for Homestar 6, putting it in the context of Homestar. The analysis that's been done so far, which is supported by the Rawlinson report, suggests the cost plus is quite insignificant, and it might be as much as 1.8%. So it's not a massive cost plus exercise. And that's based on an individual property basis. We believe that as we're more collectively together in the marketplace and we're building bigger communities, we can drive some of those costs down. So the aspiration would be to get to some form of cost neutral position. But at the moment, there is a slightly cost plus exercise. When you bear in mind we're building better quality, drier homes with longevity, with a good long span development program, we think it's worth it.
Patrick?
Sure, so we have done that at various stages of the version of the Homestar, particularly on Homestar 6, and we initially found that there were elements in that actually were not giving us the benefit that we felt it was that we were paying for, but that is not the case today, and we are very supportive of where Andrew's got that whole Homestar working, and in fact, if you look at the quality of the houses that we are building today, we do build far above the building code.
Absolutely.
Clearly we're going to own these things for a long time, but it's not just about whether we can build it as cheaply as we can or just is it a strong, sturdy house. You have to make these houses function well for the people who are going to occupy them. The people that we serve are the people who are typically the most vulnerable in our community. So a lot of the elements that the Homestar process actually calls out are just naturally part of what we do. And in fact, it's a very useful way of recognising the sort of things that we need to put in our houses.
Shimabil's presentation earlier this morning acknowledged procurement as a significant part of the fix of this problem that we're experiencing around housing. Can you, both of you, talk a little bit about how you're lifting the bar through procurement to get better outcomes in terms of housing and communities?
I think from our perspective, if you look at the Kiwi Build programme, in order to deliver our 11,000 homes, which is over a 10-year period, to respond to the other question. In order to get that delivered, we need to think outside the box. We need to look at innovation, and we need to challenge the way we deliver construction. Part of that is around procurement, and part of it is about how we deliver success. And what I mean by that is we need to think about innovation in terms of off-site manufacturing, building these units in a factory which are more sustainable. They'll drive the cost down. They won't compete with the existing supply chain. They'll be complementing the existing supply chain. And in areas where we are challenged on cost, and that's many of the locations that we work in, the Manakows of this world, the Onahangers, the Tamakis, the Hendersons, where we need to build a product that's not only fit for purpose, but also affordable. So we do need to actually engage with a different procurement solution, and we're working closely with the Crown in terms of how that solution will manifest itself moving forward. So I'm positive we're going to see this step change.
Patrick.
Yeah, I think you're right. I obviously alluded to it in my presentation. We are re-evaluating how we're going to work with the construction sector. Procurement is the word that you use to describe that. That's going to be as much about product as much as how the building firms engage with us. Because we're able to now offer significant scale over multi-years, we can offer multi-year contracts with people. We're going to be asking the industry to in fact adjust to be able to operate in a more effective manner. In the construction sector, we've dropped productivity in the last 15 years. And so to turn that around, it requires a systemised approach. You know, 90-odd% of it, 95% of our building firms are 2 men and a dog and a ute. And, you know, if that's the way we're going to continue to build our way through this housing challenge, we're going to have a problem. It has to be in quite a different manner. So the way we're going to respond is to exactly use our scale to have a different approach. And that's as much as I say about the access to materials as well as it is with the people who build.
We might have one last question, which I think might be more relevant to you, Patrick, off the Slido, is how can we retrofit the existing poor-performing homes, especially when owned by mum and dad landlords, but if we just take existing housing stock?
I can talk from our experience. Right now I've got a pilot in place in the hut where we're retrofitting 60 houses, and we're actually testing that ourselves. So I don't have the answer just yet, but when the pilot's finished, we hope to use that to inform a program where we're going to get to 2, 3, 4, up to 1,000 houses a year. We would, you know, effectively giving them a birthday and they get a full retrofit. This is about us working out where do we start and where do we stop in terms of what you can do to get the best return on actually, you know, keeping the house and retrofit it rather than replacing it. So I can't answer the question right now, Tina, from experience, but at the moment it's still more cost effective to retrofit unless it's the poor use of land, and then we'll be talking about wanting to replace it.
So thank you both for your thoughts on this particularly important topic, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of follow-up over lunch as we get to it later in the day. So thank you.
Thank you.